Hello, this is Norma Trease for Yacht Aid Global. Please join us for our new series, Yacht Aid Global Heroes, where we're featuring amazing stories of captains, pilots, owners, yachts, planes, and commercial vessels traveling the world for humanitarian aid. I'm telling you, you too can join the story of the power of yachting to do good with Yacht Aid Global. I'm here with Captain Mike O'Neill of the motor vessel Katharine, and he is one of our Yacht Aid Global heroes. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Norma.
How are you?
Don't feel like a hero, but great, thank you.
Mike, you might not feel like a hero, but I'm here to tell you I've seen it in action. I really do think that you and the owners and the crew of motor vessel Katharine are Yacht Aid Global heroes. Can you tell us a little bit about what your involvement with Yacht Aid Global has been over the last 6 months?
Well, after Hurricane Irma went through the Caribbean, we were in Europe and we watched the devastation on the islands, and looking at what was going on, we were hoping perhaps there's some way we could assist. And we were heading to the Caribbean for the winter season, and thought, well, let's contact Yacht Aid Global and see if there's some way we can help by taking hurricane relief supplies or whatever they needed. So I contacted yourself, and we got in contact with Mark and the folks at Yacht Aid Global, and managed to put it together where we were lucky enough to be able to facilitate the transportation of the aid to the islands, but obviously needed the assistance from Yacht Aid to acquire the aid, and obviously once we got to Anguilla, who to deliver it to. So it was a great partnership, and everything went fantastically well, and hopefully we can do it again sometime, perhaps under better conditions rather than a disaster.
Well, the emergency factor of it is something that's very difficult and something that the yachting industry has never seen before. That's why we need partners like yourself, and I'd like to thank you and your boss and your crew for everything you've done.
Well, what sparked it off was Hurricane Irma, and like I said, we felt there was, as a crew, that there must have been something we could do. So I originally got in contact with Yacht Aid Global and with yourself, Norma, and discussed the options and what was needed. And then I went to the owner and said, would you mind if we get involved? And he was more than happy for us to get involved, and he made a personal donation for materials, as well as the use of his yacht to assist with the transportation across the Atlantic to the Caribbean. We purchased about 60 odd sheets of plywood from one of the stores in La Ciotat in France. We also took a donation of baby food from a supplier in Germany, and there were about 4 pallets of baby food. And then the crew banded together, and we went off and purchased, I think it was about 40 teddy bears and stuffed toys, and loaded it all in the garage of Katharine and headed across the Atlantic. And we went directly to Anguilla, where the folks there were ready for us when we arrived, and were super helpful in making the logistical arrangements, and customs and all that was a breeze. And we offloaded the plywood and all the baby food and the kiddies' toys, and that went to the folks in Anguilla to help them at least start their rebuilding process. And then we continued on to St. Martin and had a good season in the Caribbean.
Tell us a little bit about Katharine. What kind of vessel is she?
Motor Yacht Katharine is a 62-meter or 201-foot super yacht built in Italy back in 2000, and the current owners have had her for 2 years. Last year we did a major refit here in West Palm Beach, and we basically spend the summers in the Mediterranean during the charter season, and winters in the Caribbean, which is mostly owner use and occasional charter. And coming across to the Caribbean every year is a big part of our program. And so when things like this, hurricanes and things like that happen, it affects us because it affects our charter program, but it also affects all the folks on the islands that we worked with for many years, and hence that's how we kind of thought we needed to help out a little bit.
Can you tell me a little bit about the effect that any of this has had on the crew?
Us as a crew taking the relief to the Caribbean really brought us together, particularly we had a couple of new guys on board, brought us together as a family and as a crew. And I think that has that effect on anybody who gets involved in assisting the community. And as yacht crew, we don't compared to being at home where you have your community. We don't have the sense of community on a yacht. We're always in a different town or a different city in a different island. So it's not very often that we get to, it's not like you go down to the park and meet everybody to play football on a weekend or something. So getting together to do on a project like this where we could band together and help and make a contribution to a community that is not necessarily ours, but that we became part of through a very sad occurrence, really brought us together as a crew, and I think it was a wonderful thing, and everybody just really pitched in and helped, and even if it was just loading the supplies on the yacht, everybody helped, and everybody was very interested in where it was going and who was receiving it. And we were actually hoping to go back a few months later, but unfortunately schedules didn't allow that. But I think it was a wonderful thing for us as a crew to become, to help out where we can.
Well, Michael, I just think what you guys have done is absolutely amazing, and I know that you're very modest, but truly, the conversation that you had with me and with Yacht Aid Global has sparked a movement in the yachting industry that I've never seen before. Can you say anything about where you see the potential for the yachting world to, what I call the power of yachting to do good, and maybe the position of Yacht Aid Global in that?
Well, I think the yachting community can get involved in programs such as this. It doesn't, I would hope that it doesn't always have to take a disaster to bring us together. There's a lot of communities out there that are, just not as well off as the rest of us, or not as fortunate as the rest of the world. So we don't need a hurricane or a tornado necessarily, but if we are going on a world cruise, or if we're just going to some out there destination, and we can go and help build a school, or bring writing materials to children or something like that. There's so many opportunities like that. There's so many places that we take for granted. Oh yes, it's a beautiful island in the Caribbean, but how often do we actually go ashore at on that Caribbean island and actually go and see how the community are living? Rather than just going to the beach bar and spending money in the shops. We'd encourage yacht crew and owners to maybe explore some of these places to the less affluent areas and see how the folks are living, and are there ways that we can help, whether it's helping them put a roof on a school, or make a donation to a church or something like that. It's a few years ago we had a little Christmas party in St. Martin for the kids from one of the orphanages, and all we had was pizza and some really simple little presents for the kids, and that was like their best day ever. And it's just a small little thing like that makes a big difference in somebody's life. Working with Yacht Aid Global was a fantastic experience, because we in a position where we have certain means and that we can achieve certain things. And for instance, we can transport aid to far off destinations, but how do you purchase the aid, and who do you deliver it to without causing any consternation within the community by not delivering it to the right people? And customs and all this kind of thing is not something that we deal with on a daily basis. So having Yacht Aid Global helping us out made a huge difference, and everything went everything went absolutely smoothly. As I said, we had no issues with customs. As soon as we arrived there in Anguilla, everybody was ready to offload, the paperwork was taken care of, and all the materials went to where they were supposed to go, as opposed to being put on the side of the road and getting looted or something like that. So it's a perfect partnership with the folks ashore at Yacht Aid Global arranging the logistics, and then those of us at sea being able to help out however we can, whether it's transportation of goods or helping on a remote island to with rebuilding efforts or whatever it might be. So there's a lot that we can achieve as yacht crew, and there's a lot that we can't without the assistance of folks like yourselves at Yacht Aid Global.